7 people who defied death and survived the impossible. Aron Ralston. In 2003, Aron Ralston was hiking in Blue John Canyon, Utah, when a massive boulder fell, trapping his right arm. Alone in the wilderness, he spent 5 days without food, with his arm pinned in an awkward position, fighting off dehydration and despair. With no way out, Aron knew he had to make a life-or-death decision. Using a dull pocket knife, he amputated his own arm and hiked out of the canyon. After 3 miles of grueling effort, Aron was finally rescued by a family who found him. His story became a symbol of human resilience and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. Chilean Miners. On Christmas Eve in 1971, Chilean Miners was a 17-year-old girl flying over the Amazon rainforest when her plane was struck by lightning, causing it to explode midair. Chilean was the only survivor, falling 10,000 feet before landing in the jungle below. With a broken collarbone, cuts, and injuries, she walked for 11 days through dense jungle, battling the elements and hunger. Finally, she stumbled upon a group of loggers who helped her and called for rescue. Chilean's sheer will to live is an unforgettable testament to survival. The Chilean Miners. In August 2010, 33 miners were trapped underground in the San Jose mine in Chile when a cave-in blocked their escape. For 17 days, their families and rescue teams feared the worst, as they were believed to be dead. But then, a note was found indicating the miners were alive. For the next 52 days, they survived on a small amount of food and water, using their wits to stay alive. The miners worked together, keeping each other's spirits up, until they were finally rescued by a daring operation involving drilling and hauling them up one by one. It was one of the most intense and emotionally charged rescues in history. Vesna Vulović. In 1972, Vesna Vulović, a flight attendant, was aboard a plane that was bombed at 33,000 feet. The explosion caused the plane to break apart, and Vesna fell alone to the ground in the snow-covered mountains of Czechoslovakia. Miraculously, she survived the fall, despite suffering multiple injuries, including broken bones and a fractured skull. After being found by locals, Vesna spent months recovering and went on to live a full life. To this day, she holds the record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute, a truly incredible feat. Louis Zamperini. Louis Zamperini, an Olympic athlete, was a bombardier in World War II. In 1943, his plane, the Green Hornet, crashed into the Pacific Ocean. For over a month, Louis and 2 other crew members survived on a small raft, drifting across the ocean with little food or fresh water. They battled sharks, dehydration, and exposure to the elements. Eventually, they were captured by the Japanese Navy, but Louis endured brutal treatment as a prisoner of war for over 2 years. His incredible resilience and strength allowed him to survive unimaginable conditions, and he later became an inspiration to millions. Joe Simpson. In 1985, Joe Simpson and his climbing partner, Simon Yates, were attempting to summit the Ciudad Grande in the Peruvian Andes. On the descent, Joe fell and broke his leg, leaving him unable to move. In an agonizing decision, Simon was forced to cut the rope between them, believing Joe had fallen to his death. However, Joe survived the fall, crawling for 3 days with his shattered leg in freezing conditions. He eventually found his way to safety, defying the odds and proving that determination and survival instinct can overcome even the worst situations. Alexander Selkirk. Alexander Selkirk, a Scottish sailor, was marooned on a deserted island in the South Pacific in 1704. After a dispute with his captain, Selkirk was left behind on the uninhabited island of Massa Tierra, where he had to survive alone for nearly 4 years. With no tools except his knife, he hunted wild goats, collected rainwater, and built a shelter from the island's natural resources. He managed to keep himself sane by praying and reflecting, waiting for rescue. In 1709, a ship passed by, and Selkirk was finally saved, his story later inspiring Daniel Defoe's famous novel, Robinson Crusoe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.